So we have got our friend here with us, and I'm super honored to have you, Dan. I love that you're with us,
Thank you.
and I love that you're going to be sharing your tech stack. Super phenomenal. And I think that everybody here is like eagerly awaiting to hear, what does Dan use? So
We want to know.
Hopefully it's exciting. Yeah, I'm happy to always talk about the secrets of my tech stack, because if someone else can do it better, even better. But if it can help anybody, I'm happy to. But I really appreciate you guys brought me on. I love listening to you, both of you, and love talking with both of you guys as well. So thank you.
Well, thank you. And you know, you talking about sharing your tech stack and can anybody learn anything? The answer is always yes. And the other part of it is what we've been discovering is that nobody really feels like they've got it nailed down perfectly. And so that's why it's really important for us to be sharing with each other what is working, because then we can say, okay, if we know this piece of our tech stack is working, but this isn't, and then we grab some information from somebody else who's doing it really well, that's whenever we start to really gain some really good traction. Because it's hard having an accounting firm. It's not easy, and the tech isn't easy.
And it's hard
100%.
to have an accounting firm that's on the cutting edge, right? Because let's face it, we're the early adopters in this journey, and we're discovering the things that will benefit others when they embark on the journey that we're already on. So I feel like, you know, we have to communicate and keep talking and having, shows like Happy Hour where we're going to dig into it. And thank you, Dan, for sharing your secret sauce. And can I just say, we're going to get to the next, well, we have a couple of housekeeping slides we have to go through, but when we get to your logo, I just got to say, I love your logo. It's so fun.
Thank you. Definitely. I appreciate that.
There's a story there. So Heather, let's not
100%
keep people waiting. So do you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm Heather Satterlee. If I haven't met you yet, I am the Director of Education and Media at Woodard. I've been a practicing accountant for coming up on 30 years. I love accounting technology. I think that's the thing that really gets my blood pumping, is figuring out ways to automate and to make data make data move and make it useful and easy. That's the thing that I like. And so, yeah. So do you know we're in our 5th year of Happy Hour?
That's pretty damn impressive.
Yeah.
That's
so
awesome.
I love hanging out with Liz and our friends and learning about new technology and the ways that people are using the technology.
I love hanging out with you too. And I love making new friends. I do. And I feel like Happy Hour is a chance to bring people together and create bonds. And I love it. I do. It's like one of the highlights of the things that I do. So I'm Liz Scott, and I enjoy tech. I want to always play. I think I'm always a fidgeter. I'm tinkering with things. And so it's never exactly perfect. I'm always wanting to do more, which means that I have a lot of subscriptions to do a lot of different things. And every once in a while, I have to go through my current tech and then peel out what needs to be archived text and reduce my monthly subscriptions. It allows me to figure out what is working and what is maybe something I need to share with the community, like some aha wow moments. It also gives me a chance to see, is there tech that's on the cutting edge, but maybe not quite there yet. So kind of keep an eye out. I think it's fun to play around, and I love this opportunity to bring technology to the accounting community because I feel like we're hungry for it. We need it.
We are.
Dan, would you like to introduce yourself? Because we all are dying to know more about you.
Yes, I would love to introduce myself. My name is Dan Luthi, as it says on the slide. I'm a partner at a firm called Ignite Spot Accounting. We have been a bookkeeping firm. It'll be 15 years this year. And all we do is bookkeeping. So we do bookkeeping, accounting, and fractional CFO services. And so I absolutely love working in the tech side of things as well. You can see from some of the partnerships and the members of councils that I'm on. Technology is a massive part of what we are as an organization, not only from our own efficiencies, but communicating with our clients so they can create efficiencies. And we work really heavily in the small business space. And so clients that are 1 to 100 employees or 1 million to 100+ million are the client groups that we work with. And I absolutely love being a part of it. A little bit about our firm. We've been, as I mentioned before, we've been around for 15 years. There's about 26 employees on our team. We are fully virtual and have been fully virtual since right before COVID. And so we actually got rid of our corporate office 2 months before COVID happened. So kind of good timing for us on that. But as I mentioned, though, I absolutely love the app space. I spend a lot of time on advisory councils, working with our app partners to be able to give them feedback on the things that are going on. And I get to participate with really brilliant people like these two women who really understand the industry that we're in and are trying to make sure the product isn't only good for our customers, but also for ourselves, and making sure that we're all getting the best benefit out of it. And so that's really kind of the focus of me and what I do. And I really appreciate that you guys are letting me be here today.
Yeah, and I love that you said something that resonates with me to my core, and it's, I believe we're going to do a great job for our clients. That is not the area that I often put first. What I put first is my accounting community peers, and the reason is we got to take care of ourselves. And so having a firm that is designed to help the people that are in it, that's going to resonate with the clients as well, because it's going to trickle down to them. So they're going to benefit from that. But absolutely, I think bettering the firm and bettering the environment for the people in it is key.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I will say this, if we haven't been focused on trying to make our employees' lives better by workflow and things to that nature, like our customers would suffer because of it. And I mean, I'll be honest too, like we have got it perfect throughout all the years, but it's something we're always actively trying to do. And I think that's one of the big parts for us, is just as important of creating efficiency for our clients. We want to do it for ourselves so our team can have a good work-life balance as well.
Sometimes the team members will come on and they're like, ooh, sometimes I switch tech, and that can be an annoyance to some people because it does change the flow of things. But what I have found is after they realize this is going to be what we do, this is the environment that we're in, they start to give more feedback about what's working and what's not working. And so it opens up the door for conversations. So I like it that we change our tech stack. I like it that we get feedback from our team members. It's super important.
Definitely. I'm in one of the apps that I'm going to share a little bit later. I'll tell a story about actually a conversation I had last week where we were talking with a client about this app, and one of my team members was on it, and just her excitement about talking about the app, like because we had switched to using it internally ourselves, like you could tell that she was just like, this is the right fit for you, and was able to like share that with the client just by her facial expressions. It was super cool to like feel like we had made the right decision for our own firm, and we're pushing the right things to our clients as well, which is super cool.
That's awesome. That is super awesome. Well, I'll keep us moving forward, and our agenda, we're going to be looking at your internal work stack, tech stack, and we're going to be talking about one of the highlights inside of that tech stack. And then we're going to also look at your external tech stack and then highlight one of those apps. So I will keep us moving forward. And I think that part of the reasoning that I like starting here is talking about when it comes to running a firm, what are some of those problems that you're looking at? What are some of the things that can be evaluated? So anything that you want to add on to this conversation here about internal tools, core systems, how you're evaluating, I think would be really insightful.
I love the start aspect of what you're commenting here, especially from the standpoint of when you're looking at technology as a whole, it's always important to know what you're trying to create, because it's really easy. Like, I mean, you guys both mentioned this, like we're all kind of tech junkies, which means we get a lot of app subscriptions and we keep adding them, but we never really fully vest into some or tie into some others. And so when you're really trying to determine what's best for your firm as a whole, you really kind of need to know what it is that you're working towards as an end result. Are you trying to add, better checks and balances? Are you trying to add more efficiency in how your employees are onboarded? Are you trying to mitigate, what is it that you're trying to solve for? And then how is it going to relate to the other tools that you already have in place? And I feel like that's the approach that we've taken as a firm, as we've looked at our tools and as we've looked at expansion into other areas. We know there's certain tools we're never going to change. And so we start with those and then kind of build everything out from it, knowing what end result we're working for, whether it's an integration or whether it's a, whether it's solving for a specific team need, individual need from a reporting standpoint, or even a client need. Like, we start with the cores and then move out, and it helps us to be able to make sure we're asking the right questions when we start evaluating tools.
Dan, how often do you guys kind of revisit your processes? So do you do that once a year, a quarter, every 6 months? Like, what did you have a set time that you guys as a team go through and look at that?
We used to do it a lot more frequently. I would say probably 4 or 5 years ago, it was every quarter we were looking at technology, we're looking at tools, and it was part of it was because we wanted to be on the cutting edge of everything, right? Like, it was, how do we get this tool in place and how do we do this and this? And what we found is there wasn't a mass amount of change between some products, and also it was creating some problems for our team. And so we moved, and then the problem for the team in that space was not only for our team members, they would usually accept it really quickly, but they were also the ones that were tasked with rolling it out to clients and pushing the end user to it. And so we moved it to where we're doing it once a year. And we kind of take them piece by piece and sector of what it is that we're doing, whether it's when we're looking at GL solutions, we kind of segregate that off into one time of the year. If we're looking at AP, or we're looking at spend management, if we're looking at reporting, we try not to do it all at once because it's a lot to bite off. But that's how we've approached it and how it's helped us from that time.
So if somebody's just, oh, sorry, Liz.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I already asked a question. Your turn.
Well, mine is off topic, but yet at the same time, it brings in this point of, last night I signed up for new. And when I did, one of the things that they want you to do is put in the goal. So what is it that you ultimately want? And then all of these bite-sized pieces. That's exactly what you just explained here. Is like, what is it that's the problem? What is that ultimate thing that you want? And then you need to be able to have little small targets in order to be able to get towards that. So is it that you're going to be working on the workflow tool? Is it that you're going to be working on the communication tool? And if you are working on the communication tool, what is the ultimate goal with that communication tool? And so if you understand where you ultimately want to be, then it's a whole lot easier when you're looking at this tech to say, does it have those ultimate goals included in it?
Yeah, no, I 100% agree with you. I mean, and I would say most of the technology changes we've had in the last probably 2 or 3 years have actually driven from us changing our workflow, and not just from like, hey, we want to create something a little more efficiency. It's like, we are changing, like, we used to have it to where every person in the organization was like a bookkeeper accountant role. So they would kind of do the end-to-end version of the data entry as well as the review and all the inside of that. We decided as we were growing and expanding that we wanted to really separate those out into 2 definitive roles. So we wanted a really hard focus on a bookkeeper role, and then we wanted really hard focus on accountant role. Well, that pushed us in the long run, once we got our teams really separated, to where it made more sense to have a more designated rule-based project management tool. Because you don't really have to have that to begin with, because if you're doing everything from A to Z, it's, yes, I did the bank recs, yes, I reviewed the financials, send the books out to the client. But if you actually have to have something where it's, we completed the reconciliations, here's my notes from my observations, so the next person can do it, it's a very different thought process and a very different project management tool that you need as you go through it. And so over the last year, we did a full kind of revamp on our internal structure of teaching and coaching and rule-based functions, which is kind of heading us up for this year of why we switched project management tools and why we're moving into Carbon, which we're launching this month to our team.
Love Carbon. So let's dig in. I think everybody is dying to know what you use.
I am going to, Dan, stop sharing. And that way, if you want to start, and we'll trade off here.
Uh-oh, my slide's not coming up fast enough.
Well,
we can talk technology while my slide's coming up, though.
So Dan, while we're waiting for your slides to come up, are you using Chat GPT in your firm?
We are starting to test it. I love that I'm getting asked that question more and more. I had a deeper conversation with one of my friends that owns another firm a couple weeks ago, and the conversation that we had was, he's like, what should we dive into this further? The hard part right now in some cases is the security aspect of what's going on with it. And so if you don't know what information is coming and going into the system, it's hard to feel confident that your information and the client's information is going to be completely secure. And
I
so
agree.
we're tiptoeing right now just because we want to make sure that we are best prepared and best secure from that standpoint, but we are starting to do some testing with it. Most of it right now is coming into marketing and advertising, but also just some basic respectful write-ups for clients as well too, and kind of Q&A aspects from that. But we're not deep into it yet. We're still just testing it. So
it's great for content. It's
yeah.
fantastic for content. I think it's a huge game changer, but
Yeah.
I digress. I was just filling time.
Well, I will add one more thing to that though. Not LiveFlow, Keeper just announced that they're beta testing Chat GPT as a part of their Chrome extension, which we're excited to test. Because the part that's nice about that is it's just doing some scanning off the detail that's coming in off the bank feeds from QBO, which will give you recommendations from Chat GPT. So it's still secure in that context, but it helps people to understand a little bit more clearly what types of industries may fall into the categories and things of that nature. And so we're going to be testing that in the next little bit. So I'm excited to kind of get that maneuvering for our organization as a whole. So.
And I think, I mean, I'll predict it, but I think we all know. I was going to say I'm going to predict, but I think we all know that we're going to start to see, because Chat GPT it's based on OpenAI's GPT-4 platform. That's an open platform. So I think we're going to see developers more and more adding this into their products, and we're going to see it happen really fast. Yeah. So I think that's something we should all be prepared for.
And I will add to that, it'll be really interesting to see how it relates or ties into some blockchain functions, because I think this will probably be the fastest this is my 2 cents on the knowledge that I have. I think it'll be one of the fastest adoptions of blockchain in a lot of cases, if you can tie the reviews and content into designated databases and things like that are much more secure. So it might help facilitate some of that movement. But it's kind of funny. I was in a chat a little bit earlier today with some of my friends, and they were commenting on Intuit's development with the information or AI functions that they have right now in MailChimp. Honestly, it's just massively impressive with what they've been able to do with AI over the last little bit on that. But someone made the comment of like, I don't hide from what Intuit can potentially create due to the amount of information that they have and the access to things. And so I think there's a lot that's going to come into this space over the next couple of years with development on the AI side of things from that space for sure.
No doubt. It's just we're at the hockey stick now.
Oh, 100%. Well, I'm going to tell you, before I tell you my app, I'm going to talk about our logo. Can I tell you guys a little bit about our logo, where it came from?
Yes.
So years ago, we were actually called Dashboard Accountants. And that's still actually technically our legal name. And we decided that we wanted to franchise our firm. And so we got with the franchise attorney at the time, and he's like, that's a really common name. You can't trademark it. And so me and my 2 partners got together and started talking about like what our intent was and what our purpose was as being a partner with our clients. And our goal was to kind of be an ignition or a starting point for clients to grow, to launch and have more transparency into information and data. And so Ignite Spot became kind of the trigger from that. And our logo is actually a match, which we call him Sparky, which is super fun from that side of things. All over our website, some of them will have faces, and he does really fun, cool things and some exciting things. But that's where it really came from, was just that desire we have to kind of be that central ignition point for our clients to have better information and better data. So
I love that. I'd take a Sparky shirt if you ever created one.
Hey, we have 2 different styles. This is our other logo. That's a campfire, which is kind of fun, but we switched up a little bit. Yeah. So now I'm kind of just going finicky with my mouse. So I apologize on that. Do you want me to share my drink of choice today before we dive into tech? Yes. So I love soda. I'm kind of a soda fiend from that side of standpoint. And in Utah, we have soda shops all over the place instead of where I'm from, instead of coffee shops. And so I'm heavy on the Diet Mountain Dew. That's my go-to. And then all these wonderful flavors that go into it. So that's what I'm drinking today, is a little bit of that mixed in with this. And they call it a Jolly Elf, which,
Love it.
that's why we're here, to be jolly. So
Yeah,
on
the
to
drink
our-
was all you, and I loved it. And I loved the backstory of you liking soda pop, and in our area, that ice that you had on screen. Gosh, that little bitty, teeny, tiny little chipped ice. That's my favorite.
Pebble
It
Ice is
doesn't hurt
best.
your teeth, and you can crunch on it.
Especially.
It lasts forever.
Yes. So good. So good.
Especially.
We actually have one of those in our house. My wife made it a point to where we had to buy one. So so let's dive into apps, because that's what everybody wants to talk about.
Let's
Yes.
go.
Everyone wants to talk about tour pieces and tools and things like that. So what are our core systems? These are really the core tools that IgniteSpot starts with. We have always been a HubSpot fan. And so at its core, HubSpot is one of our primary resources and tools that we use for all of our inbound marketing, as well as we're moving a lot of our reporting that we have in a lot of external apps into HubSpot, because it's a really great centralized database to be able to work through. It's taken us a long time to get to that point, because we've had to kind of determine what our structure is and how we want to maneuver through it. But I absolutely love having HubSpot as a part of our organization structure. Keeper is a big part of our review structure that we use for our quality control. We use it every single month for our close process and maneuver through things from that standpoint. We're super happy with that product, and really happy that it's been a part of our integration to help us to be able to get better quality control in place, and standardization throughout our organization as well. We're also a Google organization, so everything that we send out is usually in a G Sheet and something from that perspective. We've been on Google for over 10 years now, and are really, really happy with it. I will say we did do and a lot of people ask this question, full evaluation between Google and Microsoft and everything like that. We actually almost switched last year as a part of our evaluation. We went through a whole deep dive into it, and we found out that more than 50% of our clients use Google. And when you switch to Microsoft, it kind of creates a little bit of limitation in working with them and working with G Sheets and everything else like that. And so we chose to stay with Google because it made more sense for our customer base that we work with overall. But those were big questions we had to ask and evaluate as we went through that process.
Yeah,
Project management. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, Google seems to be, I love Microsoft, and I'm a Microsoft girl, and I like Google too, but I would say that Google is much easier to collaborate with people, or with businesses, people outside of your organization. It's just easier. Microsoft is more secure, I believe, but it's more difficult to get things outside. Internally, it's amazing.
Yeah. There's a lot of benefit to both systems and structures. I mean, it's hard to validate the trade-offs in a lot of cases. I mean, I personally don't feel like 365, the online version of Excel and Word and all that, is really up to par with the desktop products, which we all can probably say the same thing about other tools that we use, that the desktop product is very different than the online product. But Google, on the other hand, I mean, the Google Suite is amazing. Like, it's phenomenal to work with. It's really easy to connect with, and it's helps us a ton, especially with our client interactions and working with it. They also announced, Google announced, which is one of the biggest issues we've always had with it. They announced this year that by the end of 2023, you'll be able to invite non-Google clients into Google Documents and them to be able to interact with you, which is one of the super positive sides of the Microsoft suite that you can work through. So that's going to help us to kind of navigate and keep and retain Google Sheets with all the clients that we work with, instead of having to go the other space. We are in the process of rolling out Carbon to our clients, to our team. That was a big switch that we made this last year and kind of transition. And the biggest part was that we were using 3 or 4 different apps to manage workflow and reporting and time tracking and monitoring and client communication. And so we decided to centralize all of that. Once we did a price evaluation across our firm with the tools we were using and time consumption, it made more sense to maneuver into Carbon, which we're super excited to get that launched out to our team. And then, of course, last but not least is Rippling. we had been a Gusto firm for ourselves for a really, really long time. We're still a partner with them from that, but we found that because our firm was expanding and becoming having more of a full US based presence and having difficulty in kind of managing technology and logins and everything else like that within our team, we had to hire a full-time person to manage a lot of that for us. And so we transitioned to Rippling's PEO. And it made a world of difference for us in being able to kind of cut down on some of the time spent and the processing pieces that we're going through. And so super happy with the Rippling product. And we're definitely seeing even more of our clients ask for some of the features that Rippling's offering right now and kind of maneuvering through things from there. So that is the tool that I want to talk more about today with everybody, is the Rippling tool. This is the tool that we were talking about with one of my clients this last week. We were talking about the potential value add that this could create for them as an organization. And we were on a Zoom call just like this. We were kind of walking through their website. And one of the members of my team was just like nodding her head super aggressively and smiling really, really heavily, because honestly, she's seen the difference of this tool in her life on just how she interacts with our organization. Which I thought was really great. The fact that she knows where to go to request PTO, she can do it directly from an app on her phone. She can see who's on her team. She can communicate with them. She knows where to go when it comes to working with some of the tools that we have and the benefit management. It's just so much more hands-on than some of the other tools that we've worked with in the past, and a lot easier, especially for her, because this last year she moved from one state to another state. They asked her a bunch of questions on transition to make sure she was compliant in the state she was moving to. And so it made her life a whole lot easier. So it was awesome to be able to share that with her, and then for her to share that excitement and energy with the client as well as we were talking through it.
Yeah, PEOs are awesome when you get to that point in your business, because they do. I think JustWorks is like Rippling too, and their PEO has the app where you can go in and manage everything, which is so nice.
Yeah. It makes a world of difference on that side of things. I mean, it really, like, the HR competency with it is super helpful for us, and being able to, I mean, I can send out surveys to my team and ask them questions about how do they interact or how do they feel about this. And we can do them as blind surveys, or we can do them as, not blind surveys. And so, that context is really helpful for us. The integration within QBO is really clean as well. It is the only payroll system that I've ever seen that allows you to actually allocate percentages of wage to individual departments and organizations very cleanly and easily. And so I love that aspect of it as well for us, because it allows us to split things out a little bit easier instead of having to make adjusting entries or things like that later, which is super huge. And I love that aspect of it too. But the other thing that I will be honest, the other thing that we're reviewing on their side of tools right now is actually their IT side. So we use it for some of our app partitioning, but we're actually looking at using it for our full computer management as well on our full IT side. They have a way for them to be able to manage the release of equipment and adding in pieces and shipping it out next day and all that other kind of stuff. And that's something that's super important to us, being all throughout the United States, and having a large team. It's really tough to be able to get equipment to people quickly and easily. And they have options to be able to, if someone's computer goes down, you can ship it next day to that person. And so that makes it really, really helpful for us to be able to make sure that our team has the right tools and resources available for them at any given point. So
that's awesome. I had no idea they did IT services too. Seems like we should get them on Happy Hour.
You definitely should. I'm super happy with them. It's one of those areas where when we're running a firm, there's security measures you want to make sure are in place. There's processes that you want to make sure you have about equipment. Some firms will do it by having their team provide their own equipment. We issue equipment to all of our team. So it's our burden in the event that something happens. The nice thing about it is we're kind of split, half Mac, half PC. Well, they support that fully. And that's one of the parts that's really hard in finding an IT solution, is not every IT solution does a great job supporting, both Macs and PCs. And so that's something that was really nice for us. Plus, also, if we wanted to buy equipment from them, you can buy Macs or PCs from them. And so that gives you the option as well. So in the event that you have a rush and you needed someone to buy a brand new piece of equipment tomorrow that, from their store or whatever it was, you can still onboard it into your platform really easily without creating a lot of complications. So not all the equipment has to be bought directly from them for it to be able to work. So you can bring your own pieces of equipment with it as a part of it too, which I think is really cool and something that we're looking forward to adding this year into our team. Someone asked a question earlier that I thought was really important for us to address, and that was, do you use Keeper for all of your clients? And I'm going to answer that question, and that is actually yes. So every single one of our clients, we only have 2 clients that are in QuickBooks Desktop. All the rest of our clients are in QuickBooks Online. All of our clients are linked to Keeper. And so we use it for our entire close and month-end review management process, which has been really awesome. We really pushed it out heavily last year for 1099s, which really made a big difference for us. And just because I liked the connectivity that it had and the simplicity of reporting and fetching and confirming documents by vendor detail and all that kind of stuff. But it's rolled out into a much more robust system for us overall. And we're really, really happy with the product as a whole.
I have been blown away by Keeper. You know, the strides that Ben and his team continue to make, paying attention to the market, paying attention to what's happening, responding to it, adding it into the app. He is genuinely creating a strong go-to solution for a lot of different problems.
Yeah,
He
I very
really
much
is.
agree with you. Yeah, and the part that's nice about it with them as well too is that they're aggressively moving towards building a better product all the time. So they're constantly rolling out changes. They're not ignorant of feedback. They don't try to just push it off and everything like that. They really try to make sure that it's valuable and the content they're putting out is beneficial to everybody that's going to be integrating with it, which is awesome.
Yeah,
One of the other questions that someone asked, and I love this question too, because we were thinking about this as we were evaluating the IT side of Rippling, is the benefit of buying your own equipment versus provisioning it, or having Rippling provision it. It just depends on you as an organization and your team structure and where people are at. In my feelings with it, they give you, in the way their pricing piece is built out, like you can actually customize specific equipment for specific roles. So as your firm grows, you can decide if a bookkeeper gets a certain amount of RAM versus hard drive versus this versus PC versus Mac. Like you can do all that kind of stuff. But sometimes you can get stuff a better deal outside of it. So if you're the type of person who wants to work with specific, equipment or things to that nature that they don't supply, like you can bring that in and it will still be able to connect to their infrastructure and still manage all your updates and still maintain all those other items for you, which is super convenient as well. And for a firm like us who has 26 employees who are kind of all over the place, we have equipment already, and so they'll be able to bring the equipment on and integrate it into their platform without any issues. And then once theoretically we're out of spare equipment, we'll probably buy directly from them, just because it'll make it easier to source it from that perspective versus buying it separately and kind of bringing it in from that perspective outside of it. The question, and then I love the follow-up question, which is, are you paying a premium for the equipment? I actually don't think it is. In the comparisons that I've looked at, I mean, we've had an account with Apple for almost a decade now. You have to buy really high levels of volumes of equipment from Apple to get really valued pricing from them from that perspective. I think it's like at minimum, before you even get like a 5 or 10% discount, you have to buy like $6,000 worth of equipment. They're going to be able to help you benefit on that a whole lot more efficiently than you would if you were buying directly on your own. So I think the pricings are pretty reasonable from that perspective. I think most of what they're trying to do is just try to get their reoccurring fee from the maintenance of the equipment, not necessarily on the equipment as a whole. The one part, though, I will add that I think is really cool about it is they will do the warehousing for monitors too. So if you supply PC or laptops to your employees, that they can warehouse monitors for you. So if they need to ship them out or kind of maneuver through that, they'll kind of maintain all that stuff on that side versus you having to do that portion on your own and kind of maneuver through there. So I like that aspect of it as
Very
well.
cool. Yeah.
Cool. Now, the big question everybody always loves is not only our internal needs, but our external, right? What are our clients using, or what are we using to help facilitate things for our clients? How are we serving them from that side of things? We are a QuickBooks organization, so we push really heavily on QBO. That's the primary source for us with that. Bill.com is the primary AP solution that we push throughout each of our clients. From there, we've evaluated tons of solutions and just felt that it's the best solution for our customers as of right now. But of course, we'll always be evaluating. We use Divvy for spend management, which is a big part for us on that. We really love the features where you can control down to the end user, to a budget, to constraints, to even to locate, or even down to specific types of spend, depending on the type of user, and push our clients on that as well. We were able to, just a quick note on Divvy from that standpoint. A few years ago, we rolled this out to one of our clients. We were able to save them 15% on their total annual spend immediately by rolling out Divvy to them, which saved them hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so it was a really big piece for us, and kind of something that we really try to push heavily out to our clients from that side of things. The next big piece for us, of course, is LiveFlow. We use that for some of our more advanced reporting needs for our customers. And that's the tool I want to talk a little bit more about for us as a firm as well, and kind of launching LiveFlow. We launched LiveFlow this last year into our organizations to use more on our controller and our advisory-based services. And part of the reason why we pushed to LiveFlow and versus going with, one of the other tools out there, we were using Fathom before, and we were looking at Jarov and everything else like that, is just the ability that it has to integrate cleanly with Google Sheets, because that's a big part of where our clients integrate with. So that was one of the big pieces that really created benefit for us. Plus, it's also automatically updating on an ongoing basis for us, which is something that we felt was super crucial and something important that we wanted to make sure that we didn't necessarily have with some of the other reporting tools that we were looking at. We work with our clients not on a monthly basis, but on a weekly basis. And so we had to have more proactive reporting flows in how we were communicating or working with our clients versus just waiting until the end of the month to get that detail out.
And have you looked at Geocon? That's a competitor, right? They do. Have you looked at that solution?
I haven't looked at them yet. No.
Oh, okay. That's what I'm looking at right now, and it's very similar to LiveFlow. And I really like it. So
awesome. Yeah, no, I'm happy to look at all the other. We are tech people, right? We got to look at all the tools to see which is the best piece, right?
I love LiveFlow too. I didn't mean to say I don't love LiveFlow.
No,
but I didn't even know the Geocon existed. So
yeah,
it's interesting to get in and look at the different varieties and the different features.
And I think that's the part that's super important by this too, is like looking at what it is that you're trying to do with it. And that was one of the big parts that we were diving into in comparison to, for us as a firm, looking at where we were with Fathom before and moving over into LiveFlow. This report, or this view that's up here, is a very simplistic chart kind of view. It doesn't really have graphs or any of that kind of stuff, even though you can get it. But this was a really awesome summary function that we could start providing to our clients on a single portion of the spreadsheet that allowed them to be able to kind of maneuver into some of the other, the other detailed tabs that we had later on. Whereas one of the things that we were finding, at least with Fathom, is our clients were kind of getting lost in some of the charts and graphs, and it wasn't providing them with enough valuable, like, these are the vendors that you're spending the most with. These are, the heightened areas of what's going on. And that just may have been to our inefficiency, but we felt like our clients could read this a whole lot better and had better connectivity with it. Also too, are some of our clients that have classes or are using multiple file consolidations. We were able to get that reporting out of LiveFlow very cleanly and very easily. So we have a construction client of ours that has 7 entities. We do a full consolidation with them so that we can be able to provide that for their auditor every single year. Plus, we also do a review with them, that client, every quarter on the full net consolidation of everything, so they can see the transparency with it. This worked really, really cleanly and very easily for us to be able to aggregate that detail together. And I love that. I love the fact that we can be able to do that without having to spend hours and hours and hours of mapping and structurally moving through things to be able to make it a part of our clients' visualization and understanding what's going on.
And I'll also chime in to tell everybody that's joining us today, we actually had LiveFlow on about a year ago. And so if you want to check out LiveFlow in action, if you go to theappyhour.com, click on episodes, you should be able to find the LiveFlow Appy Hour where we had Anita on, and she showed us all of the features. So it's very, very cool. I used it at Growth Lab for a couple clients.
The team at LiveFlow is phenomenal, very much similar as Keeper. Like when you bring questions or requests to them, they're very excited about moving forward into building better reporting and context. And I had experience with them this last week where I wanted to build a specific dashboard for all of our clients to have kind of more of a stable receivables or revenue generation piloted report and contents around it, and to be able to have specific tabs that go in through it. And they were great in asking questions on why the valuability of this and what we need to do and how it creates better visualization for the client and all that kind of stuff. And so that was really cool to be able to kind of walk through that process with them and have them kind of build that out. It does work with Google Sheets. It does have an integration with Excel. It just doesn't update as consistently as the Google Sheet piece does. I actually just got an email from them this morning that they're building in a deeper integration into Google Sheets, which is cool because that's going to make the data flow a little bit even more efficiently from that side as well too.
There's another one, I believe Genius Sheets also works with Excel. So I think they are focusing on the Excel. So
I was typing that in the chat right now. It's like
you were typing in Genius Sheets?
Yeah, Genius Sheets. They also came on right around the same time that LiveFlow did.
Yeah.
And they've got some similar solutions, but Genius Sheets does do some more Excel tie-ins.
Definitely. No, they were great. So lots of options there. And I love that. I think that is a game changer. And what I like about all of these apps, Dan, is that they have the templates. So you're connecting the data, but it's also connecting the reports. So 100%. You can actually select a canned report out of QuickBooks, pull it into Google Sheets, and then modify it from there. There's a little bit of a learning curve as far as understanding how to, do the formatting, but it's not difficult to learn, and their support is really good.
One of the things I thought was unique about LiveFlow is that they have all these templates that you can use. And then they have these little videos that you can follow along in order to help you to understand what it is that you're looking at. And then that gives you that idea of, do you need to edit it? Do you need to tweak it a little bit? But they have created, along with their templates, these little how-to guides that are great.
I remember when I was working on in LiveFlow for our client last year, their support actually reached out to me because I started building something and I stopped. And they actually reached out proactively and said, we saw that you were building this and we think this might be the issue that you were having, ? And it was like, yes. And no one has ever proactively reached out to me because I was having an issue with the app. So that speaks to the depth of their customer service.
Definitely. I'll also add to it, the part that I think is super important about it is the integration of non-financial metrics. I think that's one of the areas that we as accountants oftentimes get lost in because we don't know how to pull that into a QuickBooks report. We don't know how to integrate it very cleanly into this report or that report. Whereas a lot of these other systems that our clients are working with can export into Excel or into a G Sheet document. And so you can link that information together and you can link the cell details from those other tabs into that information set. And so we built out things that include employee counts or site visit counts or things of that nature and built metrics off of those that provide a dashboard view of our clients on what's happening and how many people are hitting their site or how many employees they have and versus revenue generation and things of that nature. And it just creates much more transparency for your clients, especially in that G Sheet environment, which is, to your point, it's a little bit different to use the formulas, especially when pulling from one page to another. But if you have a really good handle on it or have watched their tutorials, you can get a really great visualization as to what's going on within a small business very quickly and very easily right at your fingertips.
Learning anything new is an investment. And if you don't
100%.
Take the time to do it, then you're going to get left behind because the new stuff, and I'm not saying there's some, Excel is tried and true and an industry standard, but my point is that you could, if you don't take the time to invest in learning and even just about the new tech, then you're kind of risking losing a competitive edge, right?
Yeah. Well, that was one of the parts I'll say on this that made it a lot easier for our team to accept it was the fact that it was associated with the tool they were already familiar with.
Right.
And so it wasn't having to learn this mega platform that had all these random ins and outs. Like we were able to bolt this in and create these really great reports for our clients and better visualizations and have deeper conversations because they were familiar with the G Sheet structure. And it works just like a bolt into the tool, which is really cool from that perspective as well. And so they're already working with their clients in G Sheets. They're already aggregating information in that space together. And so it just helped to be able to kind of relate that a little bit quicker and easier for them from that perspective too. But I 100% agree with you. I mean, the technology, I don't think that technology is going to replace what we do, but I think it's going to deeply enhance the value proposition we provide to clients and can help facilitate faster response from our clients in a lot of cases.
Which is
I
what they
think
ultimately need. I mean, this
the
whole
fact-
idea of real-time accounting is what our clients need.
The
Yeah.
faster response, I think that's key right there. And the other part of it is, you were talking to it just a minute ago. You don't have to learn a whole new platform. So things like this, being able to have an add-on and being able to utilize a familiar enough system that you understand, for example, Google Sheets, but then having this add-on to be able to say, okay, now here's a way for us to enhance it. I think that piece will always have to have somebody who can help guide you and have that conversation with you, that can give you that level of feedback that you're on the right track. Because sometimes you feel like you understand something, but just to have another voice to say, yes, I agree, you're looking at it correctly, I think is really, really beneficial and helpful.
Well, I mean, the other thing that is that, the AI, they can't look in your client's eyes and see fear or uncertainty or sadness. And honestly, that's where we bring such an incredible value to our clients, because we're in it with them. And
100%.
AI will never replace that.
No. Well, and I think that's the part of the understanding of where they're going from all of the other content and the experience and the emotion that they're going through, because you can have a discussion, right? Data can produce visualization or can produce backgrounds of stories or comparatives to this, that, or the other, but cognitive thought process and connectivity is really a part where it changes and where it becomes much more important for us to evolve the value that we're bringing to our clients and the relationship that we have with them. And so that's one of the big parts for us. I mean, we're investing really heavily in our whole firm for every point of contact to be very consistent in the value that we're trying to bring to them, and trying, whether it's through a Loom video or whether it's through a phone call, talking through things. We're not just spewing out data. We're not just talking about, well, these transactions are unreconciled because you didn't give me this document. Well, they already knew that they didn't provide that document 3 weeks ago because you already sent them a notification that was automatic from the system. It sent and produced that information for them, so you don't have to think about it. Now you can talk about what's happening over the next 3 months. What are your goals? What's your expectations? What are you trying to achieve? And that totally changes the context of it. So really excited about that space. And definitely it's an area we're pushing harder into as an organization to make sure our team has those resources at their fingertips.
Nice.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think you brought some awesome solutions to be able to expand further on them. Ooh, what do you have here?
Everybody always asks me how we sell our services to our clients. So I wanted to just kind of finish out with the context of how we sell our services. We sell 4 packages to our customers: bookkeeper, accountant, controller, and CFO. Whatever package you buy, the further right you go on the screen, you get everything on the left as it goes through with it as well. But our biggest point with it is trying to standardize the deliverable to our clients. In the 15 years we've been in business, we've found working with thousands of small businesses, that people initially ask for customization because that's what they're familiar and comfortable with. But in reality, they really want a system that's going to produce consistency for them in the details and the information that coming back to them, as well as consistency in the processing tools that they're working with. And so we built our services really based off of consistency and value-driven deliverables. And so our touch points are a big part of that. The tools and the resources that we use are standard across those boards as well. And that's really how we push forward our product and our service to each of our clients, is by trying to segment or create the context of what they get in each of the levels of services that they're buying from us. I always get asked the question, what if they don't want this, or if they don't want bill pay? And that's totally fine. You don't have to have the bill pay piece that goes along with it. It just needs to be consistent with the tools and system we're using. We just won't provide bill pay to you, which is totally fine. But this is just the way we display it to our clients, and the value and where we try to produce the value proposition to them as well as we go through it.
I really like the way that you're breaking down the different services. I think that a lot of clients have a hard time understanding where do services end and begin, what's included, what's not included. And you've broken into not only here's the different types of services, but here's the different types of roles in order to be able to receive those services.
Definitely.
And that means team members too are involved, and that helps people understand that it's not just going to be one team member that's going to do everything. it's hard enough to be able to have the accounting and the bookkeeping provided by one person, and then let alone add on these other services. So this is a really unique way to approach client services. And we're being asked a really good question. Do you do this on a subscription base? I think there was 2 different people who've asked that question.
Yeah, no, so 100%, ours is percentage based of revenue, and it's all subscription based. And so you're paying every single month for the next month's service fees. We don't require term contracts or anything like that. So it's more based on an evergreen model, from that perspective. But we do 90-day reviews on your revenue to see if the services or our pricing needs to increase from that perspective. I know there's a lot of people who don't like the idea of doing percentage base of revenue models, which I totally understand. This works for the customer group that we work with. And so we found within the kind of the general practitioner space that we're in, and then the services we're offering, that this makes a whole lot of sense for us within that customer base. But that's really kind of the hard focus for us on this. We went from being a transaction volume based space and trying to produce value add and all that other kind of stuff on top of it to the percentage of revenue, and it's worked really well for us and from making that transition.
Percentage of revenue definitely has an accountability piece to it too. It's like everybody wins if you're doing well.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good point. I'm going to launch a poll, and we've got 2 different polls. The first one I want to ask is, what do you want to learn more about? So when I'm thinking about practice management, I want to hear from all of you. What is it that you're using? What do you want to learn about? And so let me go ahead and launch that poll. And we've got some really familiar names here. But this helps us to know, who should we have on Appy Hour? Who should we be trying to find out more about and bring it to our audience, so that way you can hear what the details are, what the current status is of the app. And I'm seeing all of the numbers come in. So about 50% have responded.
I love that you have other on there, because that makes me want to know what other is.
Okay, so if it's an other that you've said yes to, which there's 8 of you who have
Throw it
said
in the chat. Yeah, throw it in the chat.
Throw it in chat.
Could be Excel. I mean, some people use Excel, some people use Jetpack workflow. Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good one.
All right.
So practice management,
Taxdome.
Taxdome, CCH Access. Yep. XEM.
Awesome. All right. I'm going to count this one down. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So I think the results of this are interesting. I'll just go ahead and share that out there with you. So Financial Sense. There's a lot of people who are using Financial Sense Monday.
It's a good product. I think, and I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, but I think I heard that Financial Sense is also somewhere putting some Chat GPT stuff in there.
I believe so. Yeah.
I think I heard that this week. So awesome. Well, Dan, we're coming up at, well, actually we're overtime.
Oh,
so sorry, everybody.
This was amazing. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. This was just fabulous.
Happy to talk anytime. Anybody ever has any questions, happy to have any discussion with all of it. So,
well, thank you.
And that's clearly why we went over, because it's talking to you. We always do a really good job of staying on track, but you had so much good information.
So much goodness.
So
yes.
I love it. And I'm grateful and very appreciative to all of our sponsors. And I want to say we have some really cool things that are coming up. We have specials that you want to make sure to check out, but we also have next week, we're going to have Swissnet that's going to be coming on, and they're going to be talking about all things security. So we'll have Mandy that will be joining us. We'll have Sam that will be joining us, and they're going to be talking about how to secure your accounting firm, what things that you need to be thinking about, email, phishing, even social attacks. So really, really cool. Going to be an awesome episode on the 18th.
No, it is for sure. We have a lot of really great episodes coming up, but we want to hear from you. If you guys have, apps that you want to see on Appy Hour, or firm tech stacks you want to see, send us an email. Let us know. Chat us on Facebook. Go into the Facebook, the Appy Hour Lounge. Awesome.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us, and we will have this recording up and visible for everybody by the end of the week.
Fantastic. Thanks again, Dan. This was fantastic.
Hey, no
Super
problem.
fun.
Thank you guys so much.
You
I
can come on
appreciate
happy
it.
hour anytime.
That's
Anytime.
right.
Just let me know when. I'll be there.
All right.
And we'll
All right.
have your special drink. with ice.
Definitely. Awesome. Thank you guys.
Bye, everyone.